Bitcoin. I like to work for my money. Call me crazy. I have a suspicion that the growing disunity among us comes from the rather royal notion that some of us can or should accrue big tons of money with zero productivity. And so access power we have no right nor talent to wield. It is the royalist formula. It did begin a long time ago, once was connected to somebody else's labour or exploitation, pick a date, but it looks again like a class of people makes large claims about freedoms and rights, does not grow and harvest their own cash crops of tobacco or cotton, while members of another club get busy on the poems of praise for this crew we call culture, inventing then their superiority to the creatures who do the actual work. There have been proclamations since, but the attitudes behind slaveries are still in us. Before transatlantic African slavery, the Western powers developed and practiced its ghastly iniquities, celebrated by Hollywood every chance they get. So by the time they got to the Americas, the barbarism was centuries old, habitual, and religion adapted from the revolutionary of Galilee to the pigs of the Inquisition. There's many a sin attached, a foul stew, but I'd like to throw into the mix basic laziness. I think there is a lot of extant stuff out there about the dignity of work and the satisfactions of labour, written by men who did not employ these standards to themselves. I'm sure Washington rode out of a morning to survey the fields. No, hun, that's not work. Some servant was rushing up and down the stairs with meals for Washington Irving while he laboured over Ichabod. Labour in quotation marks. Were out in the fields all over the pre-mechanized world feeding the Enlightenment scholars, and they then, just like Jefferson, spouted elitist nonsense in impenetrable narcissistic prose to be wielded in the centuries to come by people just like them. Fair enough. Nothing to be done. Pirates robbed the merchants who robbed the colonies. Fair enough. And we might say that Bitcoin, etc., does not require the labour force. The straight, honest lies of capitalism did. There will be soon, if Elon hasn't floated it yet in his moronic fashion, some claim like Bitcoin raises all boats. Be wary, though. Flag-waving tillers of fields and builders of roads, the less the power elite needs you, the less power is in a strike. The trend so far has been very regal, very Downton, Bridgerton. The wealthy are less and less useful, produce less and less, create for, serve, help, invent nothing for the society that craves them. So there cometh the crypto dream. And of course, boats won't rise. Elon, the thing about being rich is everyone can't be. It's in the fucking definition. The most obvious has already happened, real estate in the big cities. Don't ask me how, use your brain for a change. Another season of Wolf Hall is coming. I watched Conclave last night. I hope the Catholics are up in arms. A bigger collection of out-of-touch, stupid, selfish Moonies I have not seen in a bad dining hall since Trenton politicians meeting at the Friar Tuck Inn. The entertainment industry that insists these very low common denominators are interesting, and the establishment that claps its paws at the players really needs a life. Or make Conclave a comedy. Oh, comedy is what the church banned. My car mechanic has more moral fortitude than this gaggle of tonsured and frocked wafflers. Why? Maybe he has a job to do, a task. He or she surveys in the morning a broken thing, an unploughed field, and by evening she has transformed the world a little bit, just a little bit, improved it. The really fascinating part of this alienation from anything real is what the human will come up with to replace its meaning. We are all hoist. We all like soap and air conditioning, but seeking meaning in your bank account shrinks the human even smaller than it is now, and that is saying something. An unscientific study of Shakespeare and the rest proves that the idle rich, kings and queens, tend to gross projection of power, walk in streams of blood, and when whole national communities decide to do their lampoon of democracy, all ticker tape, no substance, the blood is outsourced. I tend to vote against bloodshed. Call me crazy. Bitcoiners, health insurance CEOs, trust funders, asset collectors, and their managers perhaps all go to the same parties that they really want to go to. I have been to the parties and left in a hurry and showered. I'm not about overthrowing this crew, no revolutionary eye, no bloodshed, though if they do not change, I do predict it. Claiming the angry are animals will fall on the deaf ears on my head. What would be devoutly to be wished would be this community, these cravers of wealth and nothing else, wake up, get a job. Thomas Jefferson, get a job, earn your own fucking money. I remember moving to London at 17, getting my first job, walking 4 miles into the British Museum until my first wage packet allowed for a bus, buying my first loaf of bread and chunk of cheese. Nothing like it. Thomas never had that option in life, I guess, unlike his brother Paine, one of the greats, if-onlys of history. Life goes on, complicates, changes, but I made the floors around the Rosetta Stone shine. I was a cleaner. Nothing like it. Try it. It reaches the parts those dividend checks in the mailbox just don't reach. If this is all you know, if this is what you accept, even what you aspire to, some one of you might study the effects, the lack of meaning inherent, the bigotries the fortunate have grown comfy with, the fascisms within that pass, less and less noticed, and at last the bloodshed. Of course, you won't and don't. The institutions that credential you to do this work will not accept it, which explains to me the stupidest responses to the obvious in human history. Don't you want cheaper groceries?